I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because Jen, it you have been one of my favorite clients and also in the most loving way. A little bit frustrating because I just know how talented you are and how much the people need your help. And it's really a specific person that you help. So please, before we jump into it, tell the people what you do and who you help.
Well, I am Jen Jo, and I help introverted coaches sign their first few paying clients. I train them up, make them feel confident in their coaching skills, and teach them the sales process so that they can confidently go out there and actually create a coaching business that's bringing in profits and having an impact on their people.
Yes. And it is so important because there's so many people who are introverts and I think it was really cool because you're helping them with something that I helped you with because when you first came to me, what was it that you were trying to achieve or what problem were you trying to solve?
So when I came to you, I was already coaching for a while, doing one-on-one with clients, and I wanted to transition and do more group. And I knew I needed a way to be more visible, be out there, attract more people all at once, and that you were going to help me with that process. So, yes, the introvert that needed someone to help her be more out there and visible, so that I could help more introverts come into my world and be able to do this work. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, what would it have meant for your business and probably even personally to make that shift from one-on-one to groups?
The time, right? Because I know I want to serve more people. But I only have a limited amount of hours that I can do that in if I'm stuck in one-on-one. Also because of my own body, the way that I like my sleep schedule and everything like that, I needed some level of flexibility. And filling my calendar with a bunch of one-on-ones didn't allow for that to happen because I'd just be booked, right, all day. So starting a group program would allow me to serve more people with less time and still service them the way that I wanted without kind of sacrificing my income goals or my impact goals.
Yeah. And so what were the biggest parts of coaching that made the biggest impact for you in terms of moving from one-on-one to group and then also getting it out there?
So working with you really helped kind of create a level of structure that I don't feel like I had, or I hadn't been able to articulate. And I think that was like one of your superpowers. Like this whole concept of like being the coach for introverts, that really came from you. Like I described what I did and how I've been, and I was like, oh my God, yes, why am I not saying that word? That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. And then also in thinking of like how I wanted to serve them and my own skills, right? Which is what I do for my clients, help them market in a way that makes sense. You help me see that, yeah, I like teaching. That's my background. I can do a webinar, right? And then revamping it so that it really did serve me in helping them get value on that call, but also kind of transitioning into what I wanted to lead to, which is selling the group program. And having all of that in place, really now I'm seeing the benefits of being able to like implement this process that we worked so hard on. So thank you.
And I do want to like when you say work so hard on, do give a sense of what working hard meant or looked like and the amount of time because I think a lot of times when we do these case studies and stuff, people really just want to show the highlights, which I absolutely do. But also let's be real about this thing. So that people know what they're getting into and what is required for success.
Yeah. So there were a lot of things that needed to be in place with the podcasting strategy that we were coming up with, right? In the preparation to be able to implement that. That happened on the back end, as well as one of my favorite things is the Power Squad list that we did. Um, but then yeah, that's the back end stuff and that takes works. But then there's the discomfort that comes when you're actually doing the forward facing action, which is something that I teach often. Like, yeah, that's all great. Like now we have that plan in place, but we need to execute it. And now I'm seeing the benefits because I'm actually executing the plan.
Mhm. And you mentioned that there was a certain structure that we worked on or that I brought into or helped you bring into your business. What can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the way you teach the concept of client attraction and the nurturing process, right? To then transitioning them into a client and delivering quality service. Like that flow of what that looked like specifically for my business, because I really felt like it was very intimate in the way that you supported me. Like you were all up in it and you were like, no, let's change this, let's do it like that, which I love because I love doing that for other people. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a coach that gets it. And they're like in there with me and making these changes because ultimately we want me to get the best results when I take these actions, when I do the webinar, when I, create this program so that it is successful.
Yeah. And so what are some of the results that you've achieved now that because it does take time, just like building a house, right? You can't move into the house before you build it. So what have been some of the results that you've achieved now that you have the things set up and you're implementing the strategies?
I have been on, I don't even know how many podcasts at this point, probably over 25 podcasts.
What?
Yeah, like that I've done already, and I have a list of others that I will be doing once I'm back on focusing on that. I have actually delivered my webinar multiple times and revamped it so it's even stronger than ever before. And calling in people. I actually ran the program last year, so now I'm doing it again this year with doubling the size that I had last year. So that's amazing to be able to welcome more people in because I know I have these things in place. We worked on them, they're ready. And now I just get to focus on doing the marketing of it and selling of it because I know the delivery is going to be taken care of because that's been prepared.
Yeah, and you have to share the result that you just shared with me with using the Power Squad to get people to the webinar, because that was one of the things, like when we originally started, you were like, I have this webinar, and one, it's not maybe not converting like I wanted to, too. So, you being you're a very detail oriented person, which I love. I'm not going to call you perfectionist because there's no such thing, but like detail oriented. And so we worked on that. But then the next part of it was like, hey, but you got to get people to this thing. And so can you tell them what's the recent results by
Yeah.
using the strategy that we teach with the Power Squad?
So I went from like having no more than 20 people registered. And by registered, that means they signed up. They didn't even show up like that. It was like maybe 5 that used to show up before. To now having 86 people registered for the webinar. Yes,
That's
80
pretty
people
awesome.
registered, which is, I'm like, whoa. I really, because I used my Power Squad list. I utilized that strategy and I'm like, okay, this does work. And now I'm like, okay, I just need to double down on this because it obviously worked. How can I maximize that? And one of the things that I'm going to do now is create affiliates, right? Use that so that I can create affiliates so that that can keep working for me. And it's in being in your ecosystem and seeing how that works that I'm like, okay, that I can totally do that too. Yeah.
Out of pure selfish curiosity, what do you think took a while for you to implement? Because it from our dealings, like, because I don't just like work with you and then goodbye, got your money, see you later. It's like I'm checking in on you, I'm seeing how you're doing, and there was a period of time in there when you had everything set up, but you maybe weren't implementing. So, what do you think that maybe that was about, and what made the shift?
Good question. When it was I had to get out of my own way, right? Like, and be able to say, you know what, this is good, this is ready. I have something to offer and truly sit with that. I was doing people a disservice if I wasn't offering it and seeing the value that I added and like listening to myself on these podcasts. I'm like, Jen, you know what the hell you're talking about? Go help more people. Like you have actually been doing this for years. You make money doing this. More people need to know about it. We just got to find the more people. We got to be visible enough for them to find us to make this available to them so that they can come work with you because you give them value and you're not going to do them wrong. Like if not you, who else? Like they totally should work with you and like stepping into that and still feeling the discomfort when I'm making the ask for people to promote it or share it or asking for the referrals like that still hasn't gone away completely. And I think that's okay too. But I am getting more comfortable doing that and believing like, yeah, people are ready to support me and say yes.
100%. Like they can't support you if you don't ask. Um, so I love that you shared that. And so kind of going back, like even before you signed up, like if you were to finish this sentence for me, what would you say? I almost didn't sign up for coaching because.
There's always this fear of will this investment reap a return?
Mm.
And thinking like, oh, well, I've already invested and I haven't seen the financial return back, right? Like, but realizing like all of this is coming together and it all works, I just need to work it. Right.
Mm.
And if I'm willing to put in the work to actually do the things, not just the back end of setting it up and making sure it's ready, like the front facing task that we actually came up with and we agreed to and follow through on that plan. Yes, I am going to get the return and I have gotten the return. Right. And I'm going to keep on getting the return on that investment.
Yeah. Talking about working, what was your favorite part of working with me or doing the program?
When I think of you, I always think of immense value. And I think I told you that before. Like everything that I've done with you, I'm like, wow, she gives so much value. Like there's so much goodness here. Whether it was in our one-on-one conversation where you were like actually looking at my stuff and you watched my webinar and you were like, okay, this is what I changed. This is what you want to do. Whether it's bringing in some experts to train everyone in your group, like different strategies, whether it's just hosting opportunities for us to connect with other people in the program. Right. So like always thinking about what do we need and making adjustments in real time to provide it.
Oh, thanks. Okay, last question, I guess, is who would you recommend working with me or this process to and why?
Yeah. So I think someone who has been a little further along in the process as far as like making money and they feel a little more confident in the basics of like coming in and signing a client, but they're really ready to up level and gain clarity on their messaging, their process, um, and the structure of their format. I feel like that's one of the things that really helped putting
Awesome.
structures in place. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, I adore you. I do. And I think from a coach's perspective, at least I see so much in each one of my clients. And I jokingly say that it was so frustrating for me because I know how amazing of a coach you are and just really wanting you, like you personally to succeed and also for the people that I know you are here on this planet to succeed. And so I mean, I absolutely adore you and I'm excited to continue watching you grow. And if you're listening to this and you want to experience the power of having somebody in your corner, I would invite you to go to tavanadenise.com/momentum.